Hey everybody, we just got the verdict last night from the Cardi B Tasha K lawsuit, and it's looking really messy. The number is actually bigger than what a lot of us assume. So I figured, even though I'm away on vacation right now, let me just squeeze in a quick video with Stephanie from Wine and Chill. Stephanie, let me just pull you up. How are
Hi,
you, Steph?
I'm good. How are you? I know
I'm
you're on vacation, looking great, so we'll get to it so that way you can go back to enjoying yourself.
Thank you. You guys, for those who don't know, Stephanie is a former entertainment attorney. Then she turned into a tech attorney, and now she is a recovering lawyer. But she still does have all of the tea. So that's why we had to get her on here to talk to us about the Cardi B case. So, Steph, what is the tea?
Yeah, so we covered this on my channel on Thursday, and like a lot of people that were following the case, I think it was very apparent from maybe a week in that most
Mhm.
likely Cardi B would win. Tasha K went on the stand and said that she knowingly lied, which proved malice. When you are, in terms of defamation cases, you if the truth is always a defense. However, for public figures, they also have to prove that the defendant had actual malice. So they purposely were telling lies, which she went on the stand and said that she purposely knew it was a lie. So once she said that, and then all the evidence came out, it's not surprising that Tasha K lost the case. What is interesting though is the ramifications that this will likely have on YouTube in terms of drama channels. And I think it's important because people are now like, oh wow, our drama channels have to be like more aware of what they're saying. This is more than that. This is somebody who made 40 videos, knowingly lied about someone else, admitted that they lied numerous times, received 3 cease and desist before they were then sued. So this is not like, oh, these are innocent mistakes, like etc. Is not that. Is not
Well,
that.
my question then is like, at what point is something like targeted criminal harassment? You know what I mean? Like, is
Mhm.
the line kind of being blurred here?
Yeah, cyberbullying. So,
Mhm.
Cardi B's team wrote an excellent statement, which I think would be really good. Like, we can definitely like go through that. And in the statement, they reference cyberbullying and the basically epidemic of cyberbullying. And one of the things that she mentioned was this is only coming out because she's a person, she's a public figure, she's a person with means, and she's a person with means and money to say like, oh, I'm not taking this from you. Like, I've had enough. Like, it's 2.5 years of you
Mhm.
saying these wild things against me of causing in the words of Cardi B, causing very much emotional stress,
Mhm.
potential life-threatening harm to herself, etc. So I think we're definitely going to see more of this come up. And I don't think Cardi B will be the one to sue YouTube, but eventually somebody will sue YouTube because ultimately it is YouTube's job to monitor that type of content. And they are very selective on what they choose to monitor.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. How like this, win victory can be leveraged. By the way, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's so nice to see all of you here consistently. Thank you so much to Shan for moderating. And oh my God, Steph, you got binge worthy over there.
Hi. Hey,
I
Justin
love
Boo.
him. I love
I'm
his
so
channel
glad
so
you
much.
made it.
Awesome. So, when you're talking about how YouTube can now potentially, have opened themselves up for being liable for something like further
Yeah.
down the line, do you see that as something that could potentially happen? Could Cardi B at this point go, dude, I just won, and we're going to get into exactly how many $1 million Tasha K owes Cardi B at this point. But could she go, wow, this is great. This is setting a precedent for me to take it over to YouTube personally. Do you think that's her next move?
I don't think it's her personal next move, and only for sorry, I have a small cold, not the other thing. For one specific reason is that litigation is very emotional and very tiring. So she said throughout, like, if you followed the case, a lot of personal information, she had to go to the doctor to prove, like, no, I don't have these things. I never had these things. Like,
That's
what is
humiliating.
it's
Yeah.
humiliating because she's trying to prove like this is a lie. So the only way to prove a lie is to show the truth. And the truth was her personal business. That was truly
Mhm.
none of our business.
Mm.
So no, I don't think that she will personally go after YouTube because YouTube has significant amounts of money, more than Cardi B, to drag this out for many more years. This one
Mhm.
lawsuit, I believe, has been going on since 2018 or 2019.
Mhm.
2019, this lawsuit started. So that's almost 3 years for this one lawsuit. A lawsuit against YouTube. at least 5 years, if not a decade. So I don't think she personally would go after YouTube, but I do think a class action against YouTube is inevitable.
Wow.
I think so. And it should be. And that's what I said in my video. There are multiple villains in this story.
Mhm.
Obviously, Tasha K took it upon herself to do these things. Obviously, there are I would say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that egged it on and watched this content and knew that it was false. And there's also YouTube who has a responsibility and had a responsibility to take it down, to monitor it. But our split on YouTube is 45-55, if I'm not correct. So YouTube made a good coin off of all that nonsense.
Mhm. It's scary, to think about what could come of this because, when Logan Paul went to Japan and he did, his foolish thing in that forest and stuff like that had a lot of rippling consequences for us. I believe there was something else that had a lot of rippling consequences for us that, affected
Mhm.
the way, payouts were done in that, almost anything you posted on YouTube for a certain amount of time was being flagged. So even
Mhm.
MKBHD, who does like tech reviews, his videos were getting flagged and he was losing out on a lot of revenue, like waiting to go through, the appeal process and everything like that. So do you see us kind of going back to that point again?
I think there will be some more monitoring. So, like on my channel, I've noticed, which is very interesting, I do lawyer reaction videos, some commentary, and then me and these trifling student loans. So, paying off my student loans. And lately, almost 4 out of 5 of my lives automatically flagged for review. I'm like, we're like, this is a lawsuit. Like, we're talking about legal topics, and it will stay that way for a couple of hours. One got flagged, and I waited 6 days for manual review, and that was talking about January 6th, about the insurrection, from
Mhm.
like a legal perspective, and also like I don't believe in like pushing that out of history, like it needs to be documented, etc. But I had to
Mhm.
wait 6 days, so I do think like we're going to see an uptick in that. I also don't think the algorithm is fair, and I feel like the algorithm, usually speaking, flags certain demographics more than others, but
Oh,
clearly not
absolutely.
everything.
And 6 days, you guys, for those who are not YouTubers, is a lot. Like in the YouTube
That's a
world,
lot of money that they owe me.
exactly. The
It's-
lifetime of a video and entertainment or a news video typically is within like the first week or so. So if 6 out of 7 days are already flagged, then you've kind of, gotten screwed a little bit, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this case, Tasha K was found kind of I don't know, I can't say guilty or no. Actually, you know what? Hold that thought. We've got Kempire in the building with a super chat. Thank you so much, Kempire, for the support. You're absolutely amazing. Let's see what he has to say here. Happy New Year, ladies. Loving the compo happening around this, especially from the legal experts. Well, thank you and thanks for watching.
Hi,
Steph,
Empire.
I'm so lucky you're here. It's always so amazing to have your legal expertise. So thank you so much for sharing that with this channel.
Of course. Always happy to join.
So Cardi had accused Tasha of a few things. And so the jury
Mhm.
deliberated and then Cardi won on all of her claims. So does that mean that Tasha was found guilty? Like, what is the terminology for this?
Yeah.
And what were all of those things?
So the terminology, because it's a civil case, is liable. So guilty is criminal cases, and then civil cases are liable. So Tasha K is liable
Mhm.
for defamation, false light, all of the other accusations.
Okay. And so, do you want to get into what the kind of statements were that were being
Yeah.
released as a
Yeah.
result of this?
So I have them, so I can share them. Or can you see? I've
Oh,
uploaded it right
yes,
here.
I've got it right
Oh,
here. Thank
perfect.
you. Let me add it to stream.
Perfect. Oh, girl, I'm blind, so hold on. I'm gonna I'm gonna lead in to mine. But if y'all ever go on Wine and Chill, y'all know I love a good line by line. So we'll read most of it, maybe not the whole thing. But I think certain parts of it are very interesting and would love to talk through them. So after almost 4 years, so this is from Cardi B and her team, their statement they put out. After almost 4 years of repeated libel and slander against me, being able to walk away from this victorious brings me great happiness. I appreciate Judge Ray for conducting a fair and impartial trial. I'm grateful for the jury and their careful deliberation over the past 2 weeks. I am profoundly grateful for the hard work and support from my legal team. Most importantly, thank you to my family and close friends who held my hand and helped me get the support I needed during this experience. So It then goes on to say, during this trial, all of you have learned about the darkest times in my life. That moment in time was fueled by the vile, disgusting, and completely false narratives that were repeatedly and relentlessly being shared online. I thought I would never be heard or vindicated, and I felt completely helpless and vulnerable. I have never taken for granted the platform that my fame allows me to have, which is why for over 3 years, I dedicated every resource I had to seek justice. And not just for me. The truth is that the intentional harm that was done to me is done to countless others every day. The only difference between me and the high schooler who's being cyberbullied and lied on by their classmates is the money and resources I have access to. We collectively have to say enough is enough. We can no longer be a society that turns a blind eye to blatant lies. The unchecked behavior and provably false content on platforms like YouTube have to be addressed and removed. The constant harassment and lies that are reported as factual from journalists and bloggers have to end. So we can take a pause there. I think it's like very telling and important that her team specifically name checked YouTube because it is 1000% in YouTube's purview to have removed those videos years ago. And they continue to let them stay up and they continue to make money off those videos, which is one of like the perverse, I would say, like incentive models of YouTube is that YouTube loves problematic for pay channels. It doesn't matter what it is, it loves things that have a virality to it. And oftentimes that can be something negative. So if it's something negative and they realize like people are hate watching it, even if people are disliking it, they will continue to run the video and they will continue to put ads on the video and continue to make money on the videos. So I think it's very telling that Cardi B and her team are like, okay, I won, but also she has the money. Like, how many people get harassed every day because cyberbullying is so rampant in today's society?
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Let me put it back up there for you, Steph.
Yeah. So, and then she went on to say, my career began on social media, so I know the power it has. Over the past few years, we've seen how social media platforms were able to bring important and necessary conversations to the forefront, such as Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and women's rights. However, we've also seen countless stories of children and adults deciding to take their own lives due to cyberbullying and intentional attacks. So while I am very grateful that this trial has come to its conclusion and the jury has rendered a powerful and substantial message, literally, I really hope that my experience forces all of us, but especially the platforms who allow this behavior to be a part of their communities, to rethink what moves us forward as a society versus what cripples us. And then was a link to the prevention hotline, which I'm sure if we say that out loud, the video will get flagged. So
Yeah.
if those are services you need, highly recommend that hotline as well. It's very interesting because the statement is not directed towards Tasha K, particularly. The statement is very much directed at these platforms. So I think the possibility of someone suing these platforms is very likely. But again, I think because of the emotional toll litigation takes, I don't particularly think it will be Cardi B. I would be very surprised, but that would cause her to basically like relive what is clearly like a very outlandish and very hurtful moment in time.
What do you think YouTube might do on the offensive side? Because, for example, there was an article that came out recently about how there's a $3 million industry on YouTube that comes to like trolling and hating Meghan Markle and like bullying her. So, hot on the heels of that, the Cardi B situation, there was a YouTuber who unfortunately took his own life as well. There's a lot of stuff that's not looking good for the YouTube platform right now. So do you see them kind of coming on the offensive and introducing some kind of program to kind of mitigate all of this?
I think so, because one of the interesting things about YouTube that I found, so like in doing like legal research on like various lawsuits, and particularly like if the lawsuits have like very negative like connotation around them, you get into like these YouTube rabbit holes of like sometimes like very offensive / nonsensical content. So like in doing the research on the insurrection, for example, led me down a rabbit hole of like pure detrimental, vile foolishness. There is no button, to my knowledge, at least when I was poking around, to like report anything. Whereas like, on Instagram, if you see something, you can report it like, oh, I can report this for inappropriate content. I can report this for this is harmful, like this is dangerous, like whatever. on YouTube, the video is just there. The AI picks up what it feels is harmful, which it doesn't really seem to pick up bullying whatsoever. There's
Mhm.
nothing like that on the AI. So I think that they're definitely going to tweak the algorithm to start to pick that up. I know when I first started like YouTube last year, oh gosh, a year and a half ago now. One of the features I noticed maybe a couple months in, if somebody started leaving multiple comments in a row, it would then push their comments out into like, that part that says like for review,
Oh,
because
the
it
spam
assumed,
folder.
yeah, it
Mhm.
assumed the person was trolling, but it would only do it after like the fourth comment.
Mhm.
So, like, by then, I'm like, well, if they were saying like wild things to me, like the harm is done. They already left 4 comments. And usually, like, it
Exactly.
would on my channel, I would say like people generally speaking are very like jovial and like we have discussion. So it's not a common occurrence. But if I cover like
Mhm.
certain topics, like if I ever say anything about Dave Ramsey, his following is very rabid. So they
Mhm.
act a plumb fool whenever I cover lawsuits about him, which is very interesting. But at that point, like waiting like 4 times, it's just in a spam folder. So like I still have to review it. So like you still see it. So I think we're
Mhm.
gonna start to see like more proactive measures. And to be honest, YouTube has yet to address like holistically how they review things because the incentive structure and the monetary structure is set up, which is why they don't holistically address it. Like flagging all of our content is not going to help. Like that's not the
Mhm.
answer because
No,
all of the
exactly.
content. Hmm?
It just creates like this big backlog that wastes everybody's time at the end of the day while like the
Exactly.
real stuff is kind of like hidden away. And by the way, Steph, to Bree's point, Tasha allegedly admitted on the stand a couple of times that she knew that she was lying about Cardi B and stuff. So what would be the legal strategy to her refusing to take down the videos, refusing to settle, admitting to lying about stuff? Like
No,
what is the strategy there?
none. And I say this with the most attempting to have like a sincere face. There's none. There are multiple times, like in watching like parts of the trial and reading certain legal, you can subscribe to certain legal like websites, newsletters where they have a court reporter, so they upload a lot of that information. It seemed very much because at one point like the judge was basically chastising both her and her attorney. It seemed very much that she was not listening to the directive of the attorney, and it also seemed that the attorney was maybe not the most well versed in this area of law, to be
Who's a
honest.
criminal attorney, right? So what would be her strategy there as well, having a criminal attorney for a civil case?
To be honest, the Lord only knows because I don't know. And I tell this people all the time. People will joke and be like, "Oh, Stephanie, like you're my lawyer friend. If I ever get arrested, I'm going to call you." And I'm like, "And you will sit in jail." Like I know nothing about that. I cannot help you. I will go call a criminal lawyer for you and then connect the collect call because that doesn't make any sense. Like I am a transactional lawyer all these years. I'm a recovering lawyer now, but
Yeah.
was a transactional lawyer like with a contract? Sure. I could help
Mhm.
you. Like we can work wonders. We can get out of this. The jail cell? No.
You're
So
staying in there.
you're staying there. So I'm not sure if it was the cost as to why she hired that person, if it was somebody she knew or whatever have you. But there were many missteps throughout the trial, particularly on the lawyer's end, but also on her end, like being
Mhm.
argumentative on the stand, like not answering yes or no questions during cross examination. So cross examination would be like, Grace, your shirt is black. Yes.
Yes.
I was like, Grace.
What do you think about this?
So being non-responsive, it would be like if Grace was like, well, the shirt's not white. It's like, so then as a lawyer, then I had to get her to say yes or no. So I would keep
Uh,
asking Grace, the shirt is black, yes.
yeah.
So she very much was like answering the questions, no, I did say some things. Yes or no, Tasha, blah, 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 this. And
Mhm.
so it was very much like
Could
the
you repeat the
attorney may or may
question?
not have coached her, but she
Yeah.
clearly wanted to do what she wanted to do.
Well, I feel like I saw someone say in the comment section of someone, I think this might have been one of Campire's videos that I was watching on TikTok, but I feel like someone said in the comment section that they felt like Tasha felt like the publicity that she would get from this lawsuit, because it has been covered everywhere,
It
was
has.
worth it to her. Do you see that as like a potential possibility?
All publicity is not good publicity. A good example of that, and I'm so annoyed with myself because I'm blanking on the name. It's not Jasmine. What is the woman's name? I can't remember the woman's name, but there was a Black singer who was invited to sing for Trump's inauguration. Chrisette
Michelle. Yeah.
Chrisette Michelle. And do I think Chrisette Michelle believed in Trump and all of his propaganda and his foolishness? Absolutely not. Do I think Chrisette Michelle wanted a check and thought like, who's going to care? I'm getting a check.
Yeah.
Absolutely yes. Chrisette Michelle has never bounced back from that. Never.
And you know what's so sad is that she has not bounced back from it, but Kanye has bounced back so well.
Okay. And Kanye should not have bounced back, which we could get into a lecture, child, about misogynoir, because it's not fair. Like, if you're going to accept one, you need to accept the other one. It's both a mess. It's equal mess. Kanye's mess is probably worse, to be honest.
Exactly. 1,000 times worse. He was like campaigning. He was trying to kind of throw the votes by pretending to run as a candidate and everything. But, you know, like you said, it's misogyny.
He's 1,000 times worse than her, but she never bounced back from that. And I think on Tasha K's end, it comes off a lot as hubris. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, who cares? Because she was right about one thing. And there are a significant portion of people, sadly, who are determined to not like Cardi B and are determined to find anything wrong. And that's unfortunate for them. She seems like a fun, jovial person who has had a rough life and is, you know, trying to enjoy the fruits of her very hard work.
Like, that eats people up, you know, when people kind of like come up, it does eat people up for whatever reason.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not gonna get into psychology of like why you're fixated on this person, but like let the woman live. Like what was she doing?
Exactly. You guys, if you're just joining us, I am here with Stephanie from Wine and Chill. She is a former entertainment attorney, turned tech attorney, turned now recovering lawyer. So
I'm going to start with that intro.
Isn't it so fun?
It is fun.
So she comes on the show on our channel every now and again to give us the legal like rundown of a lot of content, which is so amazing. And if you want more like legal commentary, pop culture commentary, please make sure to subscribe to her channel, Wine and Chill. I've got a link to it in the description box down below. So now, Steph, I want to get into some of these chats. And if you're wondering why I'm in bed, you guys, I'm on vacation. I'm putting
Grace, I didn't even notice that you were in the bed. I thought you were sitting in a coffee shop. I was like, wow. I was like, you're really dedicated on vacation.
No, because
I didn't even realize that's a headboard. Okay. I love it. I love it.
I'm on like a 2-day vacation. My friend and I were like, okay, listen, it's too gray in Paris. Let's go down to the south. We're in Nice. Like, let's just go like get some sun for a little bit for 2 days. So that's where I am. I'm in bed down here.
I love it. I love it.
So Choke No Joke actually on Instagram posted a photograph of himself with Cardi B outside of the courthouse. He looks so happy. So for those who don't know, Choke No Joke co-founded Rockefeller Records with Jay-Z, I believe it was. And so he tagged Cardi and he said, Barty Gang, this is what sweet redemption looks like. Cardi B awarded over $3 million in the defamation trial against Tasha K. I'll see y'all live at 7 blah, blah. So like
everybody's live.
Yes, right. So he's really excited about it, though I don't know what any of this has to do with him, but I digress. And then Nancy Dillon, she's saying that Cardi B, so the Georgia federal court jury just awarded Cardi every penny of her, expenses and attorney's fees, which is $1.3 million. It's crazy how expensive you lawyers are. My goodness.
I listen.
Yes. And then they're saying that on top of the 1.3 million, there's another $1.5 million that's being granted to Cardi B in punitive damage, 1 million against Tasha K and 500,000 against her company. Let's see. Okay, so we already got into Cardi B's statement earlier. So let's talk about the money. So what's the deal with the money? So Tasha K, 1 million, 500K against her company. What's going on here? I know when I was watching the lead attorney and his stream on this, they talked about how Tasha and her husband had structured her Tasha K business so where that nothing is under her name. It's all under her husband's name, or it's all under corporations. Is it going to be tricky for Cardi B to be able to recoup the money based on that?
No, so basically, she sued Tasha K and she sued Tasha K's company. So she sued her as a person and she sued the company. And the court recognized, okay, Tasha, you, the individual woman, owe this
Yeah.
amount. And then Tasha, this company owes this amount. Punitive damages, for those that aren't familiar, punitive damages, similar to how the name sounds, are punishment. So you award the damages like, okay, you did this thing, you're liable. Maybe it was an accident, maybe it wasn't, this, that, and the next. You're liable. Punitive is on top of what you're liable for. So it's the court saying, this is egregious behavior. This is to punish you. So that
Mhm.
way you think twice about doing this again.
And so I don't know how much money Tasha K has. So let's say she does not have the money to pay it up front. At
Mhm.
what point, does Cardi B apply to start garnishing her Google AdSense revenue from YouTube?
Ooh, child, that's a good question. So, because of Cardi's statement, and I think also because Tasha K has now been proven that, oh, this is somebody who not only did I wrong them, this is somebody who has the means and will continue to go after me until I pay it. I don't think we're going to see her trying to run from it. She might try to appeal the case. That would be such a waste of money on her end. I
Yeah.
highly doubt it. The only option, which is not actually an option, I could see her potentially doing is saying, "Oh, my counsel was ineffective." I highly doubt it. She didn't listen to her counsel. You hired them. It's not the same like in criminal court where you can say ineffective assistance of counsel as a reason like why you're guilty. Like this is different. This is civil law. So we're probably going to see her like get on a payment plan, which will be private. Like we won't actually see it, and
Mhm.
slowly but surely pay off that money. And then if she doesn't, then Cardi would then file like, okay, I know you're getting a check from somewhere, so I will be receiving some of this check until this is paid off.
Oh my God, it's so insane. I can't imagine owing someone almost $4 million. Like,
That hurts my spirit. You already know I'm out of the twos and into the ones now.
yeah,
190 left on my gosh darn law school student loans. And that stresses me out. I
it's
couldn't imagine.
yeah. And Cardi, she's got her kids, she's got the whole household depends on her and her YouTube channel. And now the legitimacy of her YouTube channel might be in question because here she is as the face of this brand on
Mhm.
the stand under oath admitting that she makes things up just because, and very hurtful things too, about the
Yeah.
STIs and this and that. Like, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
I think what's interesting is multiple things. It'll be interesting to see if her fan base still rallies behind her. And if so, then that means the purpose of her channel was not to uncover things, it was to just say salaciousness.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting. Which I don't know. I'm not like super familiar. So I don't know like if they're going to do that. It will definitely be interesting. I think for her case, the best thing that she could do is simply apologize and pay the money. And maybe
Mhm.
that takes a long time for her to pay the money, but to try to like fight back or whatever have you, like you have admitted to lying. You have admitted that you did it because it was fun to you.
Yeah.
That's what the court reporter took down. It was fun to you and you made money. That's
Yeah.
not just apologize and pay the money and move from it. I
Well,
brought up,
this.
I'll go
Mhm.
first.
No, go ahead. You brought up what?
I was going to say on my channel, when we covered this on Thursday, I brought up the example of, I don't know what Nicole's last name is, but the woman who used to run the website blog called Nicole Bitchy. Did you ever used to read that?
Oh, Nicole. I used to be glued to Nicole. Yeah,
That
and then she got
back in the day, that
yeah.
was girls were on the blog. So Nicole Bitchy used to run this. That's not her last name, but that was the name of the site. She used to run this blog site and say like all types of salaciousness. Never, I don't think to this level of like purposeful hurt, but a lot of foolishness happened. And then after 7 years, she sold the blog and was like, actually, I would like to change my life around. I want to do something positive. Like this is nothing but nonsense and it's actually very harmful. I don't want to do it. So she runs a great like women's empowerment I guess like blog now. It's a very positive focus called Exo Nicole. So I think there
Mhm.
are redeemable people if they
Yeah,
choose to want to do that for themselves.
exactly. And hopefully that's the path that Tasha K goes down because if she does, then I do see her um having a better go at things like the next time around because she's
Yeah.
smart, to be able
She has
to go.
great investigative skills when she wants to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
We have two really good questions, Steph. The first one earlier was from Bree when she said, "Will YouTube?" Sorry, Bree. Let me go back up to your question. I believe she was asking what YouTube is going to do. Remember when Logan Paul went to the Japanese forest? Um,
mhm.
YouTube, they kind of said, "Okay, listen, this is disturbing what you did, so we're banning you from monetization for like this amount of time." They haven't yet made a statement about this Tasha K situation. Do you see that potentially being like, something that they implement?
I don't think so, and you know why? And if they do, that will be a new precedent. So if you ever, which like you're very familiar, so for those of you that are not like super familiar with YouTube is a wild, wild place. The people that they demonetize usually are for a short amount of time, but it's usually people with a criminal allegation is when they demonetize them. So like James Charles, for example, when people were alleging that he was doing illegal things, demonetized for like probably a month, if that. Logan Paul, like what he did was illegal. It was illegal in Japan. Multiple laws were broken. So here you have somebody who is civilly liable for
Mhm.
something. This is not a criminal. There are no criminal charges. Also, if YouTube might demonetize her for a certain amount of time, but then they would then have to implement that policy like, okay, our new policy is if you get sued, because multiple YouTube, they get sued all the time for saying
Yeah.
defamatory things. The one with the crystal ball
Mhm.
notoriously got sued. I think she made double the amount of videos Tasha K made about Tati Westbrook,
Mhm.
and her channel is still there. So they would then have to go back and implement like, okay, our new policy is if you get sued and lose, or if you get sued and we realize that you multiple of your videos are promoting harassment, promoting cyberbullying, etc., it would have to be a broader rollout. But YouTube so far has said nothing. They
The
haven't said
sounds
anything.
the sounds is a little bit deafening because it's kind of reminding me of, remember when the celebrity said that they wanted to pull their music off of like Spotify or Apple Music and put it towards Tidal because they were being paid better there or whatever. Do
Mhm.
you foresee maybe celebrities like Cardi B maybe kind of leading a thing like that together, saying, you know what, we're no longer putting our stuff on YouTube because they don't care about the way people treat us and bully us and harass us over there. We're only putting our stuff on Vivo or on our own platform or on this or on that, Spotify video. Can you
Yeah.
see that actually happening as an exodus?
I That would have to be the labels because Cardi B doesn't own her YouTube channel. Like, I'm curious, like, how much money she even makes from it. So the
Yeah.
labels would then have to, like, institute that for their artists to do that. And I think YouTube at this point is so large, they can probably see like, okay, if all these artists pull this, like, are we making that much money from them? Like, who are our big cash cows? Because they can see us by like by channel type. Like video games is probably winning, and then
Yeah.
maybe music, and then probably drama channels. It's
Mhm.
probably like in that order of mess. So that would be interesting. I think that could be a strategy.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, from what we've seen, though, corporations don't fully change until somebody comes at the corporation.
Exactly. And now we've got another great question from XOXO Sylvia. By the way, you guys, thank you so much for being here. There are over 200 of you. Please, if you're enjoying this video and you are enjoying Stephanie's legal expertise, make sure to give this video a thumbs up so that our videos continue popping up in your algorithm. We've also got Shan and Van moderating the chat. Shan, can you put a link to your channel down in the chat box below too? She does a lot of amazing pop culture Bravo TV videos as well that you don't want to miss out on. So, Stephanie, the question from XO Sylvia is, will Tasha's business insurance help pay what is owed to Cardi B? And how much
That is
potentially?
That is a great question. So usually your business insurance, in different business insurance, you can negotiate the clauses. So I'm not claiming to know what's in her business insurance. I'm not claiming to know if she even has business insurance. I would assume the answer is yes. In most business insurance clauses, it's not like it's called indemnification, the process, which if you get sued, we will pay you out. Okay.
Mhm.
There are a lot of other clauses that say if you get sued and you are at fault and you cause this, we are not paying a red cent. Or if you violate this contract, we are not doing this. I think it would be very hard for her insurance to cover her in this instance because I'm almost positive in most business insurance clauses I've seen, if you get sued for certain things, where it has
Mhm.
proven that you have malice. You went out of your way to do this. You are acting with more than reckless disregard. You're acting with intention. They're not covering that. They're like, this
Yeah.
is for if, in your reporter role, you're claiming to be a reporter, you reported something everyone believed to be true. 10 days later, you realized it was false. You took it down, you took the steps, and then this person is still suing you. They would maybe cover that. This is 40 videos, 3 cease and desists, an ample amount of time to just apologize and take it down. And
Well,
that never happened.
and that's the thing. I believe that up until now, those videos are still up. Can that be
They
part of the
were
settlement?
they were up on Thursday when I did my video last week. So
Yeah. So it's
I'd be
interesting.
very curious to see. I didn't check this morning, but I'd be curious to see if they're down now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you guys. This is so, like Shanna's saying, this is the wild, wild west at this point. It's interesting to see how this is panning out and everything. So at this point, what do you believe are the next steps, Stephanie? So Cardi won. Now what
Mhm.
happens? What do they file at this point?
Yeah, at this point, it would be they're probably filing to see the assets. Like, okay, how are you paying me? When are you paying me?
Mhm.
Are we putting you on a payment plan? Because I want to see my money today. So that's next steps. And then I think on the YouTube end, we're gonna see probably by end of week what YouTube is gonna do. I think it's interesting. I was following up to see like, okay, well, what's going on in terms of like Cardi B put a statement. Did Tasha K put a statement? She's apparently putting a statement on YouTube tomorrow, which
Mhm. She's
if
going to monetize the heck out of that. Yeah.
if I was her lawyer, I would have told her to stay off of YouTube, but money needs to be
She
paid now. So I think if
exactly.
it's anything other than an apology, it's a very bad idea.
I don't see her apologizing because she
I
said
don't see
on
her apologizing either, but that would be the smartest thing to do.
yeah, it's unfortunate. She did say that she wanted to file an appeal, but like you said, at this point, I believe it would be a waste of resources because she
A
already said that she knew what was she doing. When she
huge
was
waste of resources and a waste of everybody's time.
exactly. Now, Steph, there were talks about an IRS agent being in the
Mm.
courtroom, listening in on some of these kind of trial dates or whatever. Is
Mm.
that kind of par for the course when it comes to these big sorts of situations, especially people who are self-employed, just to make sure that they're reporting things properly, or is that like something we got to raise an eyebrow at?
It's the self-employed part why most likely the IRS agent is there. Also, which you probably saw this, Grace. Well, actually, you're based in Paris, in France, so maybe you didn't see it. In the UK, they passed a new law, I believe a month or two ago, which now they're insinuating that self-employed slash freelancers are not paying their fair due in taxes. I think that's nonsense. We all know who's not paying their taxes, and it starts with a B and ends with an billionaire.
Billionaire.
However, now anything over $600 that you send through Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, etc., you have to report it on your taxes. So they're basically saying like, all of y'all, I don't know what y'all have been doing, which is likely why you see the IRS agent like, oh, you have $4 million sitting around. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's look at this tax return because I want to see, we want to make sure this aligns. So we're going to see. I'm not sure like what her financial situation is whatsoever. So I think that will definitely tie into it. And if anything, the IRS will likely be more on top of it than maybe another case because this case is also in the public eye.
Hmm. And so, if the IRS, kind of saw some things in that trial that kind of made them raise an eyebrow, like as soon as any time they would launch an investigation against her and potentially look, wow, does
Yeah.
that look
So
good?
again, the best next steps is to really like shut the computer down, apologize.
Mhm.
Therapy is great,
Yeah.
realize like, hey, you know what? It's wrong. I apologize. I'm sincerely sorry. I got
Mhm.
carried away by the 40th video. Should have stopped this. But anything other than that is just gonna lead to more commotion.
Mhm. And so, my last question for you before I let you go, Steph, is can Tasha potentially file for bankruptcy to kind of get out of paying Cardi B? I remember 50 Cent, for example, someone won a lawsuit against him, a woman, and he really did not want to pay her. So he filed for bankruptcy while being all over social media bragging about being rich and like mocking his bankruptcy. Can you see that potentially happening here?
So using the bankruptcy court to do that, people have done it. most notoriously Tom Girardi and them. We have watched people do it. However, with that being said, people that have done that and gotten away with, makes our legal system sound like a joke, but gotten away with it, have very good lawyers that they can afford. It is very evident that the lawyer and their services that was paid for was not up to par for this case. So I highly doubt we're going to see a successful replication of that. Also, if the IRS catches wind that you're doing that on purpose, the IRS will go after you. I don't think 50 Cent fully went through with like that planning and bankruptcy and all of that, because then it stopped being reported. I'm sure the IRS was like, do you think that we are all blind? Like, what are you doing? So that will open up other issues.
Oh my goodness, you guys, this has been amazing chatting with you live about, the outfall of the Tasha K and Cardi B lawsuit situation. We had over 200 of you in here, which has been awesome. I want to thank Stephanie once again for being here to share her legal expertise, even though she's a recovering lawyer. It's been amazing. And a big thank you so much to Shannon and Val as well for moderating the chat. So please subscribe to Stephanie's channel, Wine and Chill, for more legal and pop culture commentary, and Shannon Van's channel as well for pop culture commentary. She is absolutely amazing too. And thank you so much for being here, Jamie, and everybody else as well. I see Ramel. I see all of my usuals. You guys are amazing. Ramster, Chelsea, thank you all so much for being here from day one. It's been really amazing chatting with you guys. It's almost 1 a.m. here, so I gotta bounce. So I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, and don't forget to subscribe to Stephanie and Shannon Van. Cheers, guys.
Bye everyone. Hello.